This session will go on our YouTube channel. So if you have colleagues that you want to share later on, then you're welcome to share out the recording or any of my resources. This session may look different from what you're used to if you've gone to a sheltered instruction training. It's really coming from my lens as coming as a former district level person in district, and then merging now with the ESC, and just kind of what I have experienced and what I know we need and what you guys need to know. So I tried to cram as much good, useful things in here for you today, coming from that perspective of an administrator. Whether you may be an evaluator or maybe you are supporting staff, so whatever your role may be. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is me in a nutshell. I am Melanie Yoakum, and I am beginning year 23. I have spent my entire career serving English learners in some capacity. I started out as a self-contained classroom teacher, moved on to be an ESL specialist, did that at elementary and middle school, and then spent 8 years at the district level, supporting both bilingual and ESL. And then now I'm starting year 4 at the service center, supporting all of Region 11 with ELs and bilingual and ESL programs. And I have pre-K 12 experience. I've also had a company. Had a company for about 8 years where I taught adult ESL, and really passionate about that. Maybe when I retire, I'll go back to doing that. I am married to a teacher and a coach, so I still am very much have that foot in the door, and get to hear all the fun things that are happening right now with remote teaching as well as face-to-face teaching. I have 3 kids. I have a sophomore at Texas A&M, my daughter, and then I have 2 boys, a sophomore in high school and a 3rd grader. As you see, I am home today because my 3rd grader school was closed today, or they're off today, and so I'm coming to you from my living room as opposed to my office today. But again, just really excited to have you here to hear from you, to hear what you are needing. So I really want to know, when we end our time together, I want your feedback. I want to know, was this helpful? Was this not helpful? Because I'm very much about continuous improvement and refining. And so as we go through today, be thinking of things that you can share with me that maybe I need to change. We're going to start off with just a self-reflection, a self-assessment as you think about your proficiency level when you were talking about sheltered instruction. Where is your proficiency currently? As you can see, I have a chart for you. So beginner would be, I have little to no understanding of sheltered instruction for ELs. Intermediate, I do have some understanding. Advanced, I do understand sheltered instruction. And advanced high, I understand with little to no support. And so I want you to think about where you fall in that category. And I'm going to share a poll with you. And if you can just let me know, this will help me gauge our conversations today, so I know where you fall in your proficiency. So if you can take a moment and share with me where you feel like you currently are in regards to sheltered instruction. Okay, I think that's all of us that have voted. So I'm going to share the poll so you can see. So it looks like majority of us are at intermediate, and then we have a sprinkling of beginner, advanced, and advanced high. So this helps, again, me as a teacher today gauge my conversations with you and kind of knowing what your understanding is. And feel free throughout today. I want you to use the chat box. I'll do my best to monitor it and check if you have questions. But if you think of a question and you can't wait until it's time to ask questions, don't hesitate to use the chat box. And when I can, I'll get to that and I'll address those questions. Okay. All right. So some things that you may hear often: EL strategies are best practices. Throughout my career, and probably yours, you've heard this. Well, ESL or EL strategies, it's just good teaching, right? It's true, but there's a lot more to it than just that. There's the why do we have to do it? And there's the how. And something else to remember is it's absolutely necessary for English learners. So while yes, EL strategies are best practices and all students benefit, regardless, if they're in special education, dyslexic, or your general, students, yes, they all benefit. But it's absolutely imperative, absolutely necessary for your English learners. So the why is it that we are required to offer sheltered instruction? Why are we required to follow these rules? Well, as you can see, these are the numbers as of 1920. We have over 1 million ELs served in Texas. 46% are being served in bilingual. So they may be in a one-way program, which means that all students are ELs, or they could be participating in a two-way program, which means it's a mixture of non-ELs with ELs. They could be participating in an early exit or a late exit, which early means that they transition them into English much more quickly. The biliteracy is not the goal. And then we have 50.1% that are participating in ESL. Right now, we have over, well, not right now, but as of 1920, we have over 7,000 teachers on an ESL waiver. And I'm going to explain what this all means if you're not familiar. We have over 5,000 on a bilingual education exception. And then we have almost over 9,500 teachers on a bilingual education exception for languages other than Spanish. So what does all of this mean? An ESL waiver means that the minimum requirement is an ELA teacher. Your ELA, your reading and writing teacher have to be ESL certified. That's the minimum state requirement. That means that we have over 7,000 teachers who are not appropriately certified. And as of November 1st, before November 1st, which was just Sunday, the LEAs, your district and charter schools, had to submit their ESL waiver and or bilingual education exception to TEA to say, hey, we don't have these teachers certified, and this is what we're going to do to get them certified. So a lot of teachers, bilingual education exception, that means that over 5,000 teachers are in a bilingual program, but they're not appropriately certified. And then the 9,000, that just shows you that we have lots of other languages that are on the horizon for having a bilingual program. And the requirement to have a bilingual program is that you have 20 students in a grade level district-wide that have that same language, then you're required to offer the program. So for example, if I have, let's say 6 or 7 elementary schools, and in third grade, sprinkled throughout those those campuses with third graders, there are 20 students that have the same language. So let's say it's Vietnamese. Then I am required, my district is required to offer a bilingual program. But what happens is we only have a certification assessed test for certain languages. And so this 9,500, that just shows you that there are a lot of other languages out there that districts are ready to offer a bilingual program, but teachers are not certified. Some of the common ones you'll see here in Region 11 is we have Spanish and Vietnamese. Those are the ones that are most common. There are some others that are on the verge of having to have a program. Many of those may be on an exception. Sometimes districts or charter schools are on exceptions for years. Eventually the state does kind of say, hey, you've been on an exception for 10 years. What are you doing to get certified teachers? That may be recruiting abroad, growing your own. So there are other ways in which you can build your program. The other why is Chapter 89 and Chapter 74. We've got our, our tech and TAC codes that we have to follow. Also, the other why is our ELA or your ELAR and your ESL teachers, if you have that in your district charter school, should not have sole responsibility. It's not just up to those teachers to promote language. And something else I like to share is highly certified does not mean you're highly qualified. So even though you have teachers that are ESL certified, doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to do the job. And so it's really important that we build the capacity of our teachers and help them understand sheltered instruction, for example. And so today I'm going to share some things with you that you in return can share with your staff or your colleagues to support this, the wine. This is a common fact sheet if you've been in any of my sessions that I share. This is TEA's fact sheet number 1, and it just really lays out very nicely the statistics of Texas. So as you can see, 1 in 5 of the nation's English learners are served here in Texas. 8% are served in special education. That is kind of, for me, a goal. A current goal is to do more to support those dually coded students. And prior to me leaving district, that was really something I was working on as well. And so be watching. I'm planning on bringing about more sessions and some things to help, because that's a very needed area. As you see, 90% of our students are speaking Spanish, but we have over 120 languages spoken in Texas public schools. So we have a lot of languages. And as you can see, the state of Texas, the distribution of the ELs across the state. Something that may surprise you. So here's our region. We go all the way up to the Oklahoma border, which I know I have one of my colleagues in here, or Carrie, I know you're in here with us today from Gainesville, and so, or that area. And so we have all over, I mean, a huge span. But Region 11 is actually number 4 in the state for the number of ELs participating in bilingual ESL programs. That is behind Region 10. That probably won't surprise you, but we are number 4. This number is old. I mean, we have lagging data, but over 98,000 ELs participating in bilingual ESL. That number is higher, I'm sure, because as it says, participating in a program. We have many students who the parents deny bilingual ESL, but Spanish and Vietnamese are our top 2 languages. 87 out of the 94 district charter schools in our region serve English learners. We do have some smaller districts that don't have any ELs, or they may have 1 EL. And I don't know about you, but in my experience, when you have a smaller number, it's almost more of a challenge to support your teachers, because they're just not accustomed to working with that population. This is the second fact sheet that Texas came out, or TEA came out with. And the reason I'm showing you all of these statistics is to really kind of build that background knowledge and for you to take these things back to your LEA. But as you see, we have 31% of our students being served in an ESL pullout, and 14 participating in ESL content-based. Now, really what this means, this gets very confusing for people. And we just had Snapshot last Friday, and I probably spent the entire month of October doing technical assistance for PEIMS, but this is what it boils down to. Pullout, what that means is only that student or that group of students, their teacher, their ELA teacher is the only one that's ESL certified, or maybe one or the other, like maybe math or science or social studies, but not all. So content-based means that the students, ELA, math, science, history teacher, all your core contents, all of that student's teachers are ESL certified. That does not mean PE, music, or an elective. It means your core content. So what this is showing us is that we need to be promoting to have all content teachers certified, because we know that just relying on one teacher, the ELA teacher or an ESL teacher, to serve these students and promote language, we're not going to see the growth that we would if we're promoting this in math, science, and social studies. And you guys all know that language is acquired in all of those contents. It's not just in an ELAR class. So again, going back, just remember, pullout just means that that students, core teachers, that all of them are not certified, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, but not all. Content-based means all that students' core teachers are certified. And you can see at the bottom, it just tells us the number of ELs being served in a pull out and content based is at over 500,000, and then 45% of the population. And just something else, that this is a common question I get, is can a district or a charter school be a mix of content based and pull out? And yes, that's the most common. It would be a huge feat for a district to say they are entirely content based all the way through. It's most common to see it at elementary, but once you move into middle school and high school, I mean, again, it would be a huge accomplishment to do that, but it is encouraged and we want to move that direction. These are some of our stats for Region 11, but just for our bilingual ESL directors. So at the beginning of the year, I sent out a survey. Not everyone participated, so please know this is not clean data, but I did get 63 responses. Some of those could be more than one person responded, so I just wanted to lay that out. But as you can see, content-based in elementary, remember that's all teachers, all content teachers are certified. It Out of the 63 responses I got, 52% say that yes, at elementary. And again, that's common because you have usually a self-contained teacher, and if she's certified teaching all contents, well, there you go. At secondary, you can see it only 12.7% are content based. Pull out, again, it does not necessarily mean the student is being physically pulled out, but that just means that only the ELA teacher or one or more are certified, and that's 15.9%. Pull out at secondary, you can see is high at 52%. And then a mixture of content based and pull out at 44%. And again, that's very common. And I did want to show you this about bilingual, because I am going to talk a little bit about bilingual today, even though we're talking about sheltered instruction. Sheltered instruction happens in a bilingual classroom as well. And some of you coming today may have a bilingual program in your district. And so I didn't want to leave that information out. But you can see that one-way dual language, which means that is, they are all ELs acquiring English and then the other language. So it could be Spanish or Vietnamese. And the goal of that is biliteracy, to be biliterate and to acquire academic language in both. Two-way dual language, those are ELs and non-ELs. So my child could be participating in that program. But again, the goal is still to be biliterate. Transitional early exit, the goal is not biliteracy. The goal is to use their native language to get to the English quickly and move away from Spanish. And transitional late exit, same thing, but we're talking about exiting later, not as early as first or second grade. And then a lot of our districts don't offer bilingual. It may be that they've not hit that threshold of 20 yet, or they are on an exception. And so as you see my statement at the bottom, sheltered instruction is not just for ESL, it's for your bilingual teachers too. Often a hurdle that or obstacle that I would encounter whenever I was in district is my bilingual teachers would say, well, I have this student shouldn't be in bilingual. They don't have enough Spanish. Or it would be, they don't have enough, whatever the excuse would be, right? They don't have enough Spanish, they don't have the English, I can't teach them. But really, those bilingual teachers, their job is to teach English and the other language, whether if it were Spanish or Vietnamese. And so they may need to use sheltered instruction strategies to do that. And if you're in a bilingual program and you're using a certain instructional model, some of those models will say you need to stay in the language of instruction. And so if you're going to stay in the language of instruction, let's say we're teaching math and English, and the student doesn't know any English, I'm not going to switch back to Spanish. I'm going to stay in English, but I'm going to use sheltered instruction strategies to support that student. All right, so we talked about the why. Now let's look at the how. How are we going to do this? We are going to look at program implementation resources that TEA has released. We are going to look at intentional planning, ongoing PD. We are going to explore the ELPs, look at the TELPAS PLDs, scaffold instruction using EL strategies, and then the sheltered instruction approach. So we're going to kind of move through these pieces to think, okay, how am I going to help my staff? How am I going to help my colleagues understand sheltered instruction? Well, we need to help them understand the why, but now let's look at how we're going to do that. This is a part of TEA's recent release of program implementation resources. And the reason I want to share these with you is because they may be eye-opening. Some of these things you may look at and go, wow, I didn't know that I was responsible for that. But district level administrators, when you're at that level, you lead with that global view. You're looking at all programs, all campuses, all students, and it's really important that we create processes and procedures that sustain your EL program and that we work collaboratively with these other programs. So as I mentioned earlier, that my goal is to work more on the SPED side to help bridge that gap of misunderstanding. So if you are coming today as a district level person, I would encourage you to take a deeper look at this sheet that I'm going to provide to you. You're going to have a link to it whenever I send it out later. But this just gives an idea of, even if you're not the bilingual ESL director or coordinator, it just gives you a general idea of, oh, okay, so here's some of the things that need to be happening. This is one for campus administrators that have, and you too have a role in program implementation and monitoring too. So you may say, well, Melanie, I'm a campus principal or a campus AP, or I'm an instructional support person or a counselor. Many of you wear multiple hats. And so you don't have the luxury of just having one role, your many roles. This could be a document that would be helpful to you too. And this just helps you understand, okay, so what should I be looking for and doing on campus to really monitor and implement an ESL program, even if that's not your main role. So maybe it's someone at the district level, there's a director or coordinator. This still gives you an idea of what you can do to support the program on your campus. And then finally, this is the one for teachers. And something that is often surprising whenever I share this with teachers is your ESL certified teachers are the ESL teacher providing ESL services. They probably don't realize that, and it's our job to help them understand that. But if you are ESL certified teaching in a classroom, then you are technically the AES and ESL teacher providing ESL services. And so it's important for you to know some of these components over here on this checklist. Your bilingual teachers, they are also ESL certified. When they receive their bilingual certification, it comes with ESL certification. So they're automatically, that's rolled into their bilingual certifications. And they should provide that English support. So just something that I always like to share, because often whenever I do sessions for teachers, they're shocked by, oh, I didn't know because I have a certification that means I am actually providing services. But yes, they are. And so this is another great checklist to share with your staff or colleagues to help them better understand. All right, I'm going to stop right here because I've been going really fast and just want to see if anybody has any questions. So if you would like to use the chat box, you can, or I'm also going to allow you to unmute yourself if you would like to ask me any questions about what I've covered so far. Feel free to use the chat box or just unmute. I know it's a lot of information, and I know many of you are coming today already so busy. And so, I want to thank you again for coming, because I know you've got a lot going on. October, November, very busy months. Every month is busy, but right now it seems like it's been extremely busy. I don't see any questions in the chat box, but if you are in the middle of typing a question, please go ahead and continue, and I will stop and address that. Okay, now we are going to move into our first breakout room. And before we move into the breakout room, I'm going to walk you through what we're going to do. So where would you rate your district or charter school in regards to the ESL program? Okay, and again, This is coming from your lens, whether it be at the district level, the campus, classroom, whatever your level may be. And so I'm going to introduce you to the ESL program rubric. We are going to, I'm going to put the link in the chat box, and you can follow the link in the chat box. You're going to want that up so you can take a look at it. And then we're going to spend about 10 minutes in a breakout room. And while we're in the breakout room, I want one of you in the breakout room to share your screen and pull up those rubrics. And you probably want to even take a picture with your phone, it'd probably be the best way right now of this screen so you know what we're going to do. Okay, so if you have your phone available, I would take a picture of this so you know what we're going to do. But we're going to look at, I want you to look at the instructional approach, the teacher training, the professional development section, lesson planning and curriculum, and methods and resources. And I really want you to focus on what the basic implementation looks like. I don't, yes, you can look at the other categories, but I think you'll be surprised that probably most are going to probably sit in that basic anyway. But I want you to take a look and decide where does your district or charter school fall, and then discuss where you would currently rate your LEA just overall. So you don't need to look at each one of these and go, oh, well, I think we're this and this and this and this. Give kind of a composite rating of where you think your district or charter school would fall. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek real quick of some of these rubrics. So this is the EL program model design. As you can see, here's the instructional approach. You can see the basic implementation is showing that in ELR, we're targeting that content-based instruction. And then you can see the enhanced and the exemplary. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. Then you're going to take a look at teacher training. So are all teachers identified ELs trained in content-based instruction? And then you can see moving on from basic to exemplary. And then looking at your PD plan. What's your PD plan for your district or charter school? And then the instructional design, lesson planning and curriculum. Take a look at, what does differentiated instruction look like? What are the classroom assessments when we talk about teachers of ELs? And then state assessments and progress monitoring. And then methods and resources, you can see, are we addressing culturally responsive teaching, content-based instruction, and then resources. And then here is where you get into the bulk of the sheltered method. So really looking at sheltered instruction, is it communicated, sequenced, and scaffolded? And here you can see whether your district or charter school will be basic, enhanced, or exemplary. Okay, so real quickly, I am going to minimize, and I'm going to put a link to this in the chat box. And if you haven't done so, make sure that you have taken a picture of this so you know what we're going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going to give you a moment. I've put the link in the chat box. That will take you to the rubrics. And then we're looking at the instructional approach, teacher training, PD, and then the lesson planning and curriculum pages, as well as methods and resources. And again, it's really just taking a look at where you think your district or charter school currently is. And you may be coming today and you don't know, because it's just, you don't know. And so just do your best to rate yourself, rate your district or charter, and then do it as a composite. So don't do it for each one, just kind of look at it as holistically. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you to share out what you think your district or charter school would be at. So once we get into the breakout rooms, you are going to introduce yourselves. Hi, Melanie Yoakum, ESC Region 11. And then you can share what your role is and decide on who will be willing to share their screen and pull up those rubrics. And you alone too, you can be looking at the rubrics on another tab, and then just kind of have that conversation back and forth, about what different participants are feeling like their district or charter school where they fall and what they do. Just really, I want it to be about conversation. Okay. And so when we come back, having an idea of where you feel like you would be. All right. So before I send us to breakout rooms, what questions do you have? Okay. No questions? All right. So here we go. If you have not participated in a breakout room yet, probably you have, just because we've been doing a lot of Zooming. But if you have not, this will just take you straight there and you won't have to do anything. So right now I'm assigning you to your rooms. All right, so I'm sending you to your rooms for 10 minutes. And I will be checking in whenever I pop in. You don't have to address me unless you want to. I'm just listening in. But also feel free to while I'm there, if you want to ask me anything, feel free to do that as well. All right, see you in a bit.